This is Titletown Sound.
If Joe Flacco is worth a 4th-round pick, Antonio Brown might be worth a negative 5th-round pick.
Again, I'm just a fat dude sitting on the couch. But, I watch a lot of football.
I'm here to kick ass and make steaks, and I'm all out of steaks.
Year 1, he was like, all right, guys, I don't know what Dom taught you, but you need to have 11 guys on the field.
A trained orangutan could have done a better job than Rodgers. I mean, not even well trained.
Welcome, Packers fans, to episode 243 of the Titletown Sound podcast. This is the podcast for fans of the Green Bay Packers and fans of snack sticks. I feel like that Venn diagram is a circle.
A fat one,
right?
too.
I mean, snack sticks, like your Slim Jim or related snack stick product. James, are you a regular consumer of snack sticks?
I am, and I always have been, but even more so since I went keto in March. Like, those things are perfect. They're God's gift to what I do.
By the way, if you watch our intro video, if you're ever watching this show on YouTube and you watch our intro video and you see James's head in the intro video and the size of his head now, this is a compliment. It's a weird one, but
I mean,
you've lost weight in your head. It's impressive.
My whole life I've gotten compliments on the size of my head.
And now
speaking of snack sticks.
It's my brother Kevin. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing a lot better now, thanks.
Why? Now that
we made some phallic snack stick jokes, good to go.
It's like what we got 221 into the show before that happened. I'm surprised we made it this far. But gentlemen, we do have a lot to talk about, and luckily for our listeners, most of that is about the Green Bay Packers. Because we are a Green Bay Packers podcast, at least in name. The offense for the Green Bay Packers, James, it looks impressive.
That was a fun game to watch once he got past the first couple of Lions drives. That offense was. Look, the quality of opponent, we have to take that into consideration. Minnesota's defense has proven out to be very good, and the Lions' defense also wasn't great, missing a lot of starters. But Aaron Jones and Matt LaFleur creating game plans based off the run that will also get Aaron Rodgers his opportunities. It's a fun thing to watch, man.
And so the Packers put up 42 on Detroit. And Aaron Jones certainly was a big reason for that. James, are you convinced, and I'll ask you too, Kevin, James, does the way Aaron Jones is performing, does it convince you in any way the Packers may re-sign this man?
I don't. If you'd asked me that before the season, which I'm sure you did because we did episodes then too, I would have said between Bakhtiari and Jones, my money would have been on Bakhtiari, but I don't know how if Jones continues this for the rest of the year, I don't know how you don't lock that up. I mean, like I said last week, the salary cap is a myth at this point in time.
David Bakhtiari agrees with you.
Yeah, just keep it here. He's too important to this franchise right now. We haven't had a running back like this since I'm going back to maybe Alon Green. Like, he's that good.
So, Kevin, do you think that the Packers are more likely with the performance he's had this year to re-sign Aaron Jones? Do you think that as well?
Ooh, well, see, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because they want to sign him more? Absolutely. But he's making more money with every yard that he gains. So, I think they want to re-sign him, but I also think that the money needs to work. So I'm hoping that they can, because he's an absolute beast, and he only scores like 40 touchdowns a season. Maybe he can improve on that. But man, To be honest with you, the more and more, the bigger and bigger season that he has, I feel like the less and less within reach a re-signing is, just
That's what I
because.
worry about. Yeah.
But I mean, if he takes you to the NFC Championship game and then the Super Bowl, like, that is what it is. Every team who wins something loses some players the next year because it's the nature of the beast.
So
Mountain Dew for that deep down body thirst.
Aaron Jones rushing 18 attempts for 168 yards, 9.3 yards per carry, a long of 75.
Point of order, Chris.
Yes.
Would 169 yards, would that be a good number for our stat of the week, or is that not?
It would be considered for a non-natural.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but it could be.
If you took the total amount of yards of a football field between the goal lines,
you can always
minus his rushing yards.
Exactly. You can always make the numbers work if you push it. Anyway, back to his stat line. But not only that, but then 4 receptions on 8 targets for 68 yards and a touchdown. This not only is this offense impressive to watch, but this offense right now is going through Aaron Jones.
He's the catalyst. He really defenses have to account for him, and when they have to dedicate a linebacker, a middle linebacker, or even a nickel safety to him, and that leaves when Devontae Adams when he's healthy, it leaves him one-on-one. Detroit's game plan was to double team Devontae Adams, and they did that pretty much the entire game until Adams left. So I think that was helpful for Jones because he was single coverage on a linebacker, and that's just not fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gives opportunities to everybody when the other team has to focus their attention on one guy. And when you have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams also on that offense, if you are devoting your attention to anybody other than those two, you're set up for failure right there.
Yeah, and Kevin, the way this offense is running right now is it's allowing you to get away with receivers that don't quite have the talent that we thought was necessary. But coming away from that game, drops were a pain in the ass.
And they were in week 1 too. I mean, MVS had a couple drops in week 1. I think he had 2, but either way, that could have improved the stat line, just like week 2. But there was no preseason. It's early, so I'll give that a pass for now. It's got to be weird playing with no fans. I feel like that would have something to do with it. Incidentally, I know I talked to you guys about this, but if you don't mind, can you indulge me for 1 second on my idea on how to decorate the fields, especially Lambeau Field? Not the fields, but the stands, right?
Okay.
So what you do is in each end zone, you have like about 120 of those parking lot, those used car lot wigglers, where you blow the air into them and they wiggle around. Yeah. You get about 120 of them in each end zone, and you just flip them on when the other team's about to kick a field goal. That has to be distracting, right?
Right. Okay. So that would be a home field advantage?
That would be your home field advantage, right? Also, you could put punji sticks in their huddle. Dig like some holes in the ground and
what's a punji stick?
It's nasty. It's like look it up. It's not good.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Hint, it's feces smeared. It's a sharpened stick smeared with feces to promote infection when you fall on it. Yeah.
I understand the spear. You got to defend your territory.
Can I be honest with you? I think I took this show in a real dark turn real fast. So if you want to take a 180, I'd be happy with that.
Let's get out of here. Aaron Rodgers. Something that isn't covered in feces. Aaron Rodgers, again, efficient. 18 for 30, and some of that is accounted for with drops. 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Another great game. James, I forgot to look this stat up. I apologize. Do you know how many drops there were among those incompletions?
So the official NFL statistician said 4, but the Packers staff actually had 6. And with the official NFL, I read that their guesstimation would be between 35 to 40 yards it added on if the drops were caught, and possibly one more touchdown. So, I mean, you're looking at, going from a 60% completion percentage to about a 60 Bakhtiari.
Yes.
And for 280 some ish yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's not a bad day at the office.
No, I mean, it still wasn't the way his stat line reads now. It still wasn't. And I think, and we're supposed to talk about this later in the show. We'll probably talk about it now. Kevin, you mentioned crowd noise a second ago. I think a big part of the reason the Packers so easily came back from going to the hole like that is because of a lack of a crowd. I think it allows the players to be a little more focused. I'll tell you what, I've enjoyed these games, but what I've done this year more so than ever before is I simply disconnect from social media when I'm watching the Packers. And I want to urge all of you, even though I'm telling you to follow our Twitter accounts, to do that as well. Because, man, is it a much more enjoyable experience when you're not looking at everybody complaining about every down.
Yeah, it's night and day. It really is. I have done the same thing this year, and it has made my viewing a much more pleasurable experience.
And as you know, I am not a big Twitter person. I may or may not have an alias on there if you find me. But I will say I never really liked, because you're right, it's it's too much, right? Like, just watch the game and then let's look at Twitter afterwards. Let's, stack successes, so to speak.
Ooh, I like that.
How about the offensive line, James? Playing pretty well despite the fact that they're an injured bunch. What did you think about their performance on Sunday?
I thought it was the fact that you have Rick Wagner out there starting in a position he really didn't practice a whole lot for, and I think he's got 100% pass block rate, which is even better than Bakhtiari.
Rick Wagner sounds like a kind of guy that would open up at a state fair for Poison.
What's wrong with Poison?
I saw Poison in concert when I was in 7th grade. It's a beauty show.
What grade were you in when you saw Milli Vanilli?
I believe it was also 7th. I don't know.
Possibly the same show.
No, it wasn't. No, because it was Poison was with Slaughter and the Bullet Boys.
Ooh.
And Milli Vanilli was with. I know Young MC was one of the opening acts.
Did he just do Bust a Move 5 times and then leave?
No, he had one other song you had heard of if you were 12 years old, and it was back then. But it was a hell of a show. I wish, the only regret I have is that somewhere along the way I lost the T-shirt I bought that night.
That was a nice T-shirt too. It was all neon and whatnot. Good stuff.
It really was. Rob and or Fab both on the shirt. It was.
I think it's both. Yeah. Good stuff.
Rob and or Fab.
It was very high quality. I think my levels are really low tonight, but I don't feel like leaning forward. So what I need you to do, if you're listening, every time I start talking, just turn your volume up slightly. And when I'm done talking, you turn it right back down. That should work. What do you think, James? Is there enough depth for this O-line to play this well, or does the offense make it a little easier for them to play this well?
That's a good question. I think that the depth isn't, as optimal as I would like if I were GM, but I think it's good enough with the game plan that LaFleur comes up every single week. I mean, as long as you have a healthy Bakhtiari and a healthy Elton Jenkins and a healthy Lindsley, which he sprained his thumb, I guess, this week, so I'm not sure how that's going to go going forward, but that's 3/5 of an all-pro level, really, line. And then you can just kind of plug and play, okay, who's Billy Turner, if he can get back on the field, or Rick Wagner, or Cole Madison left, Runyon Jr. You just plug those guys in and play them as you need to. And I think that, that it'll be serviceable for, 3/5 of a serviceable offensive line is a hell of a lot better than the Minnesota Vikings have. So,
and the one thing that I really saw again when watching them play against the Lions was that the offense isn't required to pass block for seconds too long. It's not required to keep Aaron Rodgers alive against all hope. And that's got to be less taxing for them physically. It's got to help them, have endurance so they can get through the fourth quarter. Because hopefully, like I said, despite that one play where Bakhtiari blocked for like 8 seconds, there wasn't a whole lot of that in the first 2 games. And to me, that's encouraging. That's how the Packers offense had become disjointed and boring to watch because everything was the same. Aaron Rodgers is going to step back and hope that he can make something happen as these plays develop 12 seconds down the field, or at least that's how it started to feel. LaFleur's offense to me is refreshing to watch.
I mean, it all goes back to Aaron Jones. It goes back to the running game. Jones, Williams, and Irvin really are the 3 biggest reasons I think that this offense has been able to move as well as it has, because there's a lot of quick hitches, quick outs, or those little push passes, those things. It's fun to watch because defenses have to account for that, and then eventually, as the game goes on, things start to open up down the field, and that's fun.
James Hamill's in the live chat. I think there's something going on with Facebook because we're not getting as many hits this week, or maybe we're just not as entertaining. Which
it's
probably that one.
It's because we're on Wednesday and not Tuesday. It's really
we're gonna go back to Tuesday. I'm sorry. Yesterday, I'll be honest. Since we hadn't committed to Tuesday yet, I jumped at every opportunity to move when I had a crappy day at work, and I wanted to play Call of Duty last night with you guys. So, and that's what happened.
Fair enough.
By the way,
I regret nothing.
Many of our listeners play Modern Warfare, right? That's what it's called, Kev?
That's what it's called, yeah. We don't meddle with that Warzone stuff.
No, we don't play online or whatever. So if you're interested in playing with us, we're terrible. Post in the Facebook group and
2 of us are terrible. The other ones are freaking.
I'm just playing against you guys.
so we mentioned in the Facebook group that it was going to be Tuesday or Wednesday. What I meant by that post, I think, is what I meant, even though James posted it, was going forward, what day do you prefer? Because in my mind, I had already decided we weren't going to broadcast and it was going to be on Wednesday.
Look, it was really just an excuse. I was really just looking for validation of our decision not to record last night is really all it was.
And that was an all-time backfire, I got to say.
It really
was
did.
like 32 Tuesdays and no Wednesdays.
There's like one guy. Wednesday. That was my other out. What about injuries, James? What are we seeing for, before we look forward to the game against the Saints? Where are we doing injury report-wise?
Well, Devontae Adams has the hamstring issue. He said today he feels better, but he doesn't know. And we're going to progress throughout the week. I wouldn't bet on him playing. Billy Turner was suited up on Sunday, but I don't think he played. I think he was right there in emergency. Lindsley sprained his thumb on a snapping hand, which could be a problem.
It's much harder. I sprained my thumb. You can't get the sound. Right? Like imagine if you sprayed it, then you got to keep it a split. That look, you don't get it.
It's true.
He'll never be able to join the Sharks or the Jets, guys. It's really a shame.
Another timely reference from the Titletown Sound podcast.
Hey, do you love old John Travolta films? No, so
who doesn't? By the way, that is also an unnecessary redundancy.
Old John Travolta.
Which is another, because there is no new John Travolta movie.
Sandy.
It's like so weird. And then Taylor Irvin, I think, had a concussion. So I'm not sure how that's looking. So I mean, all in all, compared to let's say the 49ers, the Packers are looking pretty good. Not optimal for what we would like, but it could be a lot worse.
I missed if you said it. What's the story on Kenny Clark?
Oh, yeah, Kenny Clark. Nothing. I don't know. They're not talking about Kenny Clark. Nobody seems to know what's going on with them.
That's scary.
It is scary, but they haven't put him on the IR either. So, I mean.
And the IR only requires like 3 weeks this year, right? Like you can come off IR real quick. So,
right. So they have
That's exactly me.
right. They have to believe he's going to be able to come back in the next couple weeks, or they're just not going to play him the next 2 weeks, and then they have the bye, and then bring him back after that.
But at the same time, if they were going to do that, they could IR him and pick up,
and have a roster spot. Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I think it's pretty safe to say that they don't think this is going to go more than 3 weeks, because otherwise it would make no sense not to put him on the IR. Let's hope that he plays, because I think this is gonna be a tough one. But before we get to that, we're gonna take our break a little bit early because we got a lot on the second half of the show. Before we take our break, we want to talk about how you can support the show, and one way you can do that is by going to www.patreon.com/TTSO, and you can make a small or large per episode donation, and you get some bonus shows. You get to know that you're helping out a show that you enjoy. And we have a new patron, gentlemen, and I forgot to download the, so if you guys could just do that. Could you do that for me? Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect. New patron is I Do Mathematics, because Patreon, you can put whatever you want. I suspect we are huge in the mathematic demographic.
I mean, math is wonderful, especially addition.
James endorses math. Kevin, what do you think? Math, yes or no?
Math and I have a fickle relationship. Today I was teaching my daughter some math, and it was kind of weird because, I never thought I would be attempting to teach anybody math, and to be honest, I kind of fear for my daughter's education because of that.
That's fair. Well, anyway, welcome as a patron. We appreciate your support of the show.
Wait till you get to pie charts, though. That you'll like that.
Especially apple pie charts.
Oh, I prefer a good cherry pie chart. Kevin, we have some OG patrons that need to be talked about. And
we do. Yeah. And they do need to be talked about. That's a good point, Chris. You always bring up good, interesting points. All right, Scott Neer. Before Scott discovered the outer casing for sausages, people would just carry around loose sausage meat in burlap sacks. Oh, the theme here is snack sticks.
Oh, okay.
People would just carry around loose sausage meat in burlap sacks. They were called sackies, and one sackie could fetch about 9,000 Lebanese pounds in the open-air markets of Beirut. That's about $6 for a sackie.
Oh, my God.
Jason Hicks. In his free time, Jason lobbies for the pigs in a blanket industry in our nation's capital. As you all know, Jason is a big pigs in a blanket fan. Milo Meadsong. Milo once won a lunch with the CEO of Hillshire Farms at a charity auction where he suggested a sausage specifically designed for summer noshing. Up until that point, all sausages had been designed for cold weather consumption. That's why in pictures of old sausages, you'll see them wearing coats, because they were designed for the winter. Chris Korsmo. Chris is in charge of cubing cheese at Hillshire Farms. Milo actually helped Chris get that job. Jeff Augustine. And the real reason I came up with that one is because I forgot to write something for Chris. So sorry, Chris. Jeff Augustine. Jeff was actually the inventor of...
you do, listen, this is a little tip from somebody who knows how to
No, because here's the deal. Because I always bring it with my patrons. So when you get a crappy one, I want to make sure you know.
Explanation. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So next one, Chris, you're going to get... I promise the next one, you're going to get 2 notes. Guys, remind me of that, and I have to make a note of that too. All right. Jeff Augustine. Jeff was actually the inventor of the meat sweats. It was his idea to pack meat with so much flavor and heart-stopping goodness that perspiration oozes from your greasy pores after you've gotten your mitts on a good cut of meat. And last but not least, known by his friends as Slim Jim, James Hamblin has the saltiest meat stick on the block. And those are our patrons. Thank you very much.
Kind of took a bow on that one. All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Packers' upcoming game against the Lions. We'll play our games. We'll hear your voicemails. I forgot what else we were going to do. Did you know that you can help support our show financially without any additional cost to you? Well, if you use Amazon, and let's face it, who doesn't? You can go through our Amazon affiliate link, and we'll get a small portion of the proceeds. You pay nothing extra, and you still get your awesome stuff delivered in like 2 days. So go to www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon and just order like you normally would. Go. That's www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. Happy shopping.
If you would like to support the show and help others find it, give us a review and a rating. Go to Apple Podcasts and write something nice and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
Welcome back, Packers fans. Untitled Sound Podcast. I apologize. The audio cut out for a second on the commercial there. I muted it so I could fart, and I forgot. Cut off the audio.
That is the Titletown Sound Off theme right there.
So welcome back, and we have some more patrons. We have our Hall of Famers, and they are fantastic people that we want to recognize. And Mr. Korsmo, that's your job. Take it away.
Yeah, it's my job. So Kyle Turpinning, DJ Lightfoot, Will Zine Savage, and Michael James Crowder are the first ones I want to mention. All of them, they invented they invented not doing this right. No,
don't you dare say Sackies.
Look, they were the first ones that discovered that Soylent Green was made of people. So there's that. Now I have omitted one, but I'm going to fix this right now. So the last 2 weeks, I have, for reasons unbeknownst to me in my own brain, forgot to mention one Mr. Paul Goldsack, who has been a Hall of Fame patron for about forever.
Yeah.
And I have a ton of guilt. I'm Catholic, so that's my natural baseline, but I feel even more guilty. So I created I'm hoping this will make it up to him. I kind of made something, Chris, if you don't mind.
And I never do this. I'm playing something that I haven't listened to first.
I hope he just cursed for like 5 minutes.
Here it is.
I've come here tonight to say I'm a chode, for I've neglected something for 2 episodes. You may have noticed there have been no facts about our Hall of Fame patron, Sir Paul Goldsack. I can give no excuse for this grievous offense, my careless omittance, my sheer lack of sense. But what I'll do now is try to atone. Here are some things about Paul you may not know. Paul's won 12 contests for most sculpted abs. His DNA is worth millions to fertility labs. He once ate 10 pounds of melted Gruyere. Not in a contest, oh no, on a dare. He can simultaneously solve 5 Rubik's Cubes, while at the same time shaving his beautifully chiseled face. He is the reason when England is sunny. Last, but certainly not least, he gives us his money.
So, Paul, I apologize for not remembering you the last 2 weeks, and I hope you forgive me.
I mean,
That was
was
terrific.
fantastic.
Thank
Why
you.
are
Yeah,
we
that was really good.
podcast? Why?
I think it's because I have this cool flag hanging up back here.
That's pretty much it.
That is a cool flag.
That was fantastic. All right. On to the Saints game. James, I'm going to ask you this because you wrote it and you know more about football than I do. Who would be the bigger loss this weekend to injury, Adams or Michael Thomas?
Well, I think we kind of might have found that out this past Sunday when if you watch the Saints game against the Raiders of all people who beat them. I think Michael Thomas is really Drew Brees' safety net. And since Drew Brees apparently has trouble throwing past 7 yards now, and that's all Michael Thomas can run is 7 yards. And I think Aaron Rodgers has proved throughout his career that his number one receiver can be missing and he can still, have a good game. And then you have the running game on top of it, Aaron Jones. So honestly, I really think the loss, if Michael Thomas doesn't play, I think that's going to be more of a big deal than if Devontae doesn't play.
Kevin, how do you feel about this offense missing Devontae Adams?
I'm actually more comfortable with it than like a national media person might perceive it, right? Because you saw what happened last year when we didn't have Adams for a few games and the offense was fine. The offense didn't miss a beat. The offense might have actually been better during that stretch than other stretches at other times. So I think that the Packers, I think they're kind of designed more to absorb. Not that the Saints aren't, but recently, as compared to the last couple of years, I think the Packers are in a better place to have a loss like that. A couple of years ago when Rodgers was forcing everything to Adams, it's kind of like what would have happened if he got hurt then, and he didn't have a chance. He didn't have that safety blanket. So I'm okay with the Packers not having Adams if he's only out for like a game or two. I don't want him to miss like the whole thing. That would suck.
I'm sorry, Kevin, if I was laughing.
No, you were. That's fine.
Because I muted it again.
Chris, do you need to poop?
But then I made the worst fucking possible on this. I mean, it went something like this. This is only going to work if you're watching this on YouTube, but it went something like this. I hit mute though.
And my favorite is that your podcast studio is about 2 feet by 4 feet. So you're hot boxing that real nice.
What were we talking about? Oh, injuries. But yeah, James, tell me about what this Saints offense is now. I mean, again, they're a team that lost to the Raiders. But what are they now?
They are Alvin Kamara, really, at this point. I mean, Drew Brees, I'm not going to count him out. I don't think Drew Brees is
toast.
Yeah, I don't think he's toast, but I don't think he's, the Drew Brees, of old either. So, but Alvin, I'm worried if, obviously Kenny Clark doesn't play. Alvin Kamara might run for 630 yards.
He still hasn't stopped running today.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. But, so their offense goes through him, really. And then, Brees will he doesn't have the arm strength that he used to. He can't, he doesn't really pop the 50 yarders down the field anymore, but he can still play. So, I mean, I don't think anybody who watched the game against the Raiders and are saying to themselves, oh, this will be an easy one for Green Bay. This is going to be the toughest game so far.
What's going to be so tough about it? Right? Because people will say that. Look, this team lost to the Raiders. Aren't going to be tough to beat them.
Because New Orleans' defense is not Detroit or Minnesota. Their defense, and they have some injuries on defense too, but so Minnesota doesn't have really a defensive line anymore and a bad secondary. Detroit doesn't really have a secondary at this point either. And New Orleans has both. Like they're, at least better than what we've seen so far.
Right.
So, I mean,
so this is the first real test for this offense.
Yeah. And specifically the offensive line, I think, is going to be the real, the ones under a lot of stress because they're going to have to be dealing with a lot of stuff they haven't had to deal with before in a while.
So we've got somebody on the live stream who asked a question that we're basically dealing with now, which do you guys think the O-line will hold up against the Saints pass rush? The Raiders kind of worked them offensively the other night, so it could bode well for Green Bay. I don't know. I think that's this will be the real test. Is this offense really making it easier for the O-line, or has it been the opponents that have made it easier for the O-line? I don't know, Kev. What do you think? Do they hold up?
Yeah, I mean, in the first couple of weeks, we haven't heard much of the offensive line, and that's typically a good thing, right? If you're not being talked about as an offensive lineman, it's usually a good thing. So, with penalties and giving up sacks, yeah, I mean, it's obviously a bigger challenge. But that being said, I do think that the first couple of weeks, the offensive line has been up to the challenge that they've been presented, and that's all that you can do. I can't expect them to allow -1 sacks, whatever. Like they can only do so much, and so, yeah. I mean, I like where the offensive line is right now, even with Taylor being out for the year. I think they've been playing well, and I think that this offense is designed to kind of hide them in that regard and let them play well. Don't put anybody out for
exposed.
Exposed. Yeah. I should know that word if you know what I mean.
It's in all of your indictments.
Charging documents. So James, what about though this? How do you think the Packers defense comes out looking in this game?
I mean, I think the opportunity is there for the Smith brothers to go and Sean Gary to go get Breeze. He's not exactly a spring chicken anymore, and he was never all that mobile to begin with. But he's
right.
He's on the southern side of 40 at this point. So, and then I think Jair Alexander and Kevin King really are gonna, the secondary is gonna really get an opportunity to show themselves.
But do the Saints even put the ball in the air if they don't need to?
Right.
If Clark's not playing, they're just going to jam it into him, aren't they? They're going to try to get penetration up the middle. No,
I mean that
they're going to no.
They're going to ram it right up the B gap. No.
Yes, that's it. That's what the B hole is what I call
it. I call it the A-hole. Well, that's the more, yeah.
I think it'll be a really good test for the linebacking crew, especially Christian Kirksey, to see it. I think he's going to be tasked with covering Alvin Kamara out of the backfield and Breeze. So a stat that I saw today, in the two games the Saints have played, Breeze has only attempted, I think, 3 passes longer than 7 yards. If I remember. Yeah, so he's at least for this portion of the season, he's kind of turning it into check down Charlie a little bit. So
dump off Drew.
Yeah. So
nice.
I like that. That's even better. Holy cow.
How about dump down Drew? Is that better or what? You guys choose.
Dump off Drew is good.
Okay.
I like check Charlie too, but his name is Drew.
Kevin's is much better. That's fantastic. We could create T-shirts like that.
Right.
So I mean, the linebacking crew is gonna be the ones I think who are really tested. Stopping the run, filling the gaps, and,
right, plugging the hole.
Ooh. and keep talking dirty, James.
covering the gaps in the tight end, and
I need a minute, guys.
This turned into erotic fan fiction. This is the direction, guys, I always wanted to go with this show. So took us 254 episodes, but we are finally the first Green Bay Packers erotic fan fiction podcast. Welcome. Congratulations.
We're never going to win a podcasting award, but we might get an AVN.
I'm tempted to name this episode Green Bay Packers erotic fan fiction, but I'm not sure what iTunes will do with that.
I know what I'll do with it.
Before we go to voicemails, I'll just switch things up just a little bit here on the schedule. And that's because we want to cover, before we move on,
69, dudes!
Nice.
69!
Nice.
So it is David Bakhtiari's 69 of the week, not endorsed by David Bakhtiari. And this week we came very close, gentlemen. Very close to a natural. And this is as close as I believe you can get to a natural without attaining that. Aaron Jones, 68 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. Add them together. And what do you get?
69, dudes!
Nice.
69!
Nice.
All right, gentlemen, we have some voicemails this week. Dakota, I want to apologize. I can't play yours because of all of the violence and hatred. No, because it cut out like for 40 seconds in the middle. Something happened. We were like, I don't know. Just get a better phone, I guess. All right, first call. It's from regular caller. You know him. You love him. But he left his left blinker out today. It's Gabe.
Hey, y'all, Gabe here, calling after an ass whooping that our Green Bay Packers put on the Detroit Lions. Putting another 40 burger up, baby. Yeah, and as you notice, I said Detroit. I went on ahead and I just tiptoed around my Texas accent for y'all because I love you, Chris, James, and Kevin, and my fellow listeners and patrons. And I have to say this, though.
Oh, boy.
Please, if Gutekunst listens to Titletown Sound Off, he needs to hear this.
Yep.
Sign Aaron Jones, baby. He deserves that contract. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, guys, well, I'm pumped. I cannot be any happier.
What is happening
Anyway,
right now?
So wanted to call to say that. But yeah. All right, let's go. Let's keep this momentum moving. 2-0, baby. Right, going right now to New Orleans Saints next week.
Almost.
Yeah, I've had a few.
Almost made it.
Anyway, that's all I got for right now. So good night. God bless. And go Pack, go.
So, Gabe, I don't always listen to every word of every call because I want to hear it as you guys hear it as well. So sometimes I might not. I just listen for sound quality. I don't really listen for the words. But this, for some reason, I listened to his call, and thankfully, I was able to bleep it out. You dirty potty mouth son of a gun! I didn't think he had it in him. But Gabe, if that feeling doesn't go away in 4 hours, call a doctor.
We have a news. We don't have a commercial for them because they couldn't get it in before the deadline. But we have a new Aaron Jones sponsored Extend Zone is what it's called. So you can get an idea for that product.
It involves your wiener. It doesn't have to be yours, I guess. We do have other calls. Should we get to them now? Let's listen to what Don had to say.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Calling after another W. So 2-0. We look pretty good again, and we're really looking like the 2011 Packers, in my opinion. Go out and score 40 points a game and just wait for defense to get that one turnover that we need to swing the game for us. Which I don't have a problem with. If we score 40 points a game, it's going to be tough for anybody to hang with us. I guess we'll see this week with the Saints. But it's nice to be able to get out there and throw the ball around in some games with Rodgers like we did week 1, and then when teams want to try and defend the pass, we can just let Aaron Jones do what he's going to do. So, I'm calling to say the Packers have weapons this year. Aaron Rodgers has weapons this year. That's no longer an excuse. Let's get that excuse out of here. So let's see what we can do with the team that we have. So on to New Orleans. Go Pack, go.
James, is this team like the 2011 Packers?
It has shades of it. It sure. I thought that several times over the first 2 weeks. Just score as many points as you can and pray you can hold on.
But Kevin, is this defense as big a liability as it has been in the past?
Yeah, I think this. I don't think that it's pray that you can hang on in this particular instance. I think it's look for a turnover or a turnover on downs or something. I think the defense is more predatory. I think they're capitalizing, and I think that's like the key to a playoff defense, right? Is one that takes advantage of
a defense. It's not there just to keep the other team from scoring, but it's there to turn the ball over and there to even maybe score points themselves.
That's a force. Yeah, exactly. A force in and of itself. You have something that is not a secondary thought. It's, oh crap, they got a good defense too. It's that kind of thing.
And get Kenny Clark back, and I feel like you've got that, James.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Kenny Clark is the key to the run defense, and he can get after the quarterback. The Smith brothers are gonna get their more of their fair share of sacks, and Gary as well. If you can line up Kenny Clark, in the middle, Smith brothers on either side, and Rashawn Gary, that's a hard front.
We didn't talk about Rashawn Gary had a bigger part in this game.
Yeah, he played real well. That was his best game yet, and he was a big reason Shannon Sullivan got that pick six. The defense has potential. I think this defense has a much higher ceiling than the 2011 defense did. I don't think the talent is necessarily a lot better anyway, because if you look back at the 2011 team, they had Casey Hayward, they had Micah Hyde, a lot of perennial kind of pro bowlers. So the talent was there. What we don't have anymore is the dead squirrel on his head defensive coordinator. So,
you all right there, Kev?
Yeah.
Oh,
why wouldn't I be?
That really tickled your fancy, because the way you laughed, it was just it was.
No, that was cute. I like that joke.
All right,
that's all.
I strive for cute.
Our first call of the evening is Mr. Milo Meadsong.
Oh yeah.
Hey guys, it's Milo. I'm calling on my way up back home to beautiful Wisconsin. Wanted to get my thoughts on last week's game and the upcoming game. Answer last week. They look great. I mean, it's pretty remarkable that even with Devontae Adams being a non-factor in this game, that they still absolutely crushed their opponent. That was the Lions, but still, I'll take it. And I'm really liking the way the team's shaping up. And for next week, I'm really excited about the game against the Saints. I mean, if they can start off 3-0, that's great on its own. But then they've got 2 divisional wins, a win against one of the teams that was projected to be one of the best in the conference. And I think they have a good shot of at least, giving the Saints a really good game. So I'm excited for the way the season is starting out. I think they're doing really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing them move forward. One last thing I want to say is Aaron Jones for MVP. I mean, good Lord. I have a hard time imagining they won't pay him. I know there was some speculation that he might, they might let him go because now they've got Williams and Dillon or something. I think he's a guy that you hang on to, depending on how much he costs. But I think that they could really reel him in. If they could lock him down for a longer-term contract that he can bridge the gap between Rodgers and Love, or Rodgers and Boyle, if they go with Boyle, whoever it is. But really excited about how the way things have been and how they're going, and I look forward to hearing what you guys think. Go Pack, go!
An underrated storyline with this Green Bay Packers 2-0 start is that Matt LaFleur is now 8-0 in the NFC North. And his record with the Packers is what now, 15-3? Regular season. This is the story of a head coach that they seem to have gotten right. And thank God, because that can be you can waste seasons. And I don't mean one, you can waste 2-3 seasons with the wrong head coach.
Yeah, I mean, LaFleur's, I have to admit, last year I had my doubts at times, but after the playoff game, both San Francisco games really, but like this team has bought into everything he's doing, and the sky's the limit, really, at least for this year.
And Kevin, you got to give him a lot of credit because last year he didn't even have his full offense installed. and he still makes this team, takes his team to a 13-3 record. It feels like they got it right with him.
Yeah, I think we have given him a lot of credit. I mean, I know you weren't saying like, "Oh, you specifically have," but yeah, I mean, I think that it hasn't gone for naught. I think people have noticed, at least people with heads on their shoulders, have realized that it's not easy to go 13-3 in the NFL, especially as a rookie head coach.
Right.
So yeah, real quick about the previous call.
Yeah,
I have a theory that was that Milo?
Yep.
Yeah, I have a theory that Milo was at some sort of aquarium or some sort of fishing situation when he made that call, because it sounded like water in the background, and then towards the end of the call he said, and I took a note about Aaron Jones, they could reel him in using fishing terminology. I think he was using code speak to let us know that he was out on a boat or at an aquarium. So I'm a detective, basically, guys. You heard it here first.
It's like some QAnon level stuff going on there.
Oh man,
I think that just got it on the list.
That's my brain. That's how my brain works, guys. Sorry. What can I say?
Right. All right. Let's get to our games. As the show comes closer to a close, thankfully for our listeners. The first game we're going to play is a little true or false.
True or false, true or false, true or false, true or false. It's time to play true or false.
I don't know who we paid on Fiverr.
What's that?
I said I don't know who we paid on Fiverr to sing that, but that's such a great theme song.
Silky, right? The voice.
Silky smooth.
Yeah, so true or false, where the rules are exactly the way they sound.
Yeah.
True or false question.
Yeah. They're okay. I have results from last week. So week one, I kind of sent the questions out like 6 minutes before kickoff. So week one was the preseason for true or false, guys.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Week two is where it starts. It's where it really counts. Just like in the real NFL. All right.
Right.
So a quick recap of the week two true or false. Question number one, the Lions backfield did have a drop. I believe it was the ironically named Kerryon Johnson who dropped it. Let's see. Yes. For question number four, the Packers did intercept Matt Stafford the first time since October of 2017.
Lord.
And question number five was false because Aaron Rodgers' stats at the end of the game were not really close to week one stats. That being said, we didn't really expect that to happen. I said it would because I kind of play for the lowest possible score and see what happens. But anyway. After week two, which is actually week one, so I'm just going to call it week 1.2, just to avoid confusion, right? James, you had 4 correct, and Scott Neer with a perfect 5 correct. A bingo, if you will.
Man, he's like Rain Man, I swear.
Yeah. He also got, he nailed that. Chris, me and you, we had 2 questions correct. I've never really been to a dog track before, but I know that there's like a automatic bunny that like they shoot out and like the dogs chase that.
Right.
And that's Scott Neer.
Okay.
And if there was like something that like was behind them to make sure they didn't like take a crap on the track, that would be us.
Okay. Fair enough. I think that's accurate.
Yeah. So, okay. Questions for week number 3. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right, good. Well, because you're ready, I'll ask you first, Chris. Through 2 weeks, Drew Brees has completed 64.7% of his passes. True or false, the Packers will hold Drew Brees to a completion percentage lower than 64.7%.
I'm going to say true. That's high.
All right. James, what about you?
Man. I'm going to say false only because I think he's going to be doing a lot of check downs, and our linebackers can't hang with that.
All right. Well, excuse me. I'm going to say true. I think that towards the end of the game, maybe we'll get a situation where he drop 3 or 4 passes go incomplete, and that puts him right below the threshold there. Question number 2, James. Through 2 games, the Saints have allowed an average of 28.5 points. True or false? The Packers will score at least 29 points.
You know what? True.
I'm going to say true too because it's just fun.
I'm going to say true as well because
It's true.
I'm optimistic. What do I have to lose, right? Question number 3. In week 2, Aaron Jones ran for 168 yards. Through 2 weeks, Jones has averaged 117 yards per game. True or false? In week 3, Aaron Jones will rush for at least his weekly average of 117 yards, but less than his season high of 168.
I mean,
So true or false, he will rush between 117 and 168.
false.
I gotta plug my computer in before
Oh my god.
my computer's gonna die, eh?
He's a genius, eh?
All right. This isn't even my podcasting computer. This is my true or false computer. All right, there we go. We're plugged in. We're ready to go.
For sure,
Seamless.
mission control down there.
Right, exactly. All right. Did I ask the question, Chris? What did you say? Between 117.
Yeah.
Okay, false.
It's gonna be lower.
Okay, James, what do you think?
I also say false.
All right, I'm going to say true. I think they get the lead. They run the ball. I think he gets 141 yards, 140.2 yards. Okay. Question number 4. Through 2 games, the Packers have scored in every single quarter. True or false? The Packers will score in every quarter in week 3 against the Saints, including overtime, if applicable. Chris, what do you think?
I'm gonna say false. That's a tall order.
James?
I didn't know that. That's a good stat. I also will say false.
I'm going to say true because in both the first quarters, they had field goals, and why not? Who cares? What do I have to use that one?
Eat Arby's.
Yeah. Did you say something about Arby's?
Yeah. Never mind.
Question number 5. The Packers are currently averaging 42.5 points per game. Gives me the tinglies. True or false? In week 3 against the Saints, the Packers will score at least 40 points. James, what do you think?
I don't.
This is like that. This is a dangling carrot, right? Like you want it to be so true.
I want it to be true. I want him to put up, I want him to put up a natural 69, but
Nice.
I don't think that. I'm gonna go false.
All
Yeah,
right,
I
Chris.
think false as well. I just to go with the percentages.
I think you guys know what I'm going to do. I'm going true.
Sure.
And can I just, before we move on to the next segment, can I just say, where did the 40 burger come from?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I got to be honest, it kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Why?
I don't know. It's just weird. I don't get it.
All right.
Unless somebody can explain it to me. I don't know.
Just think somebody said it once and everybody else was like, yeah, cool, 40 burger.
I miss 30 wrap.
I like marsupial. So I was like, marsupial. Everybody else was like, cool, marsupials. I think that's how that went.
All right, I'll buy it. Fair enough. Circle gets a square.
All right, let's play our last game. Oh, wait, hold on. First, we have to end this game properly.
True or false is now over.
All right, now on to our game where you pick against the spread. It's spread 'em.
See, for as good as the other theme song is at the beginning, the true or false ending is just really pitchy. It's just terrible.
All right, hands on the hood and spread them.
Kev, tell me about spread 'em.
Spread 'em is the game of chance. No, spread 'em is where we say what the spread of the game is, and then we pick if we think that the Packers are going to cover it or not, or they're going to win or lose.
You are the host of this segment, and you cannot succinctly explain the game.
It's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
A.M.
Spread. The Saints are 3.5-point favorites.
Oh, that's news to me. Great. The Saints are 3.5-point favorites, guys. What do you think is going to be the outcome? Oh, real quick, let me recap last week.
Okay.
James, you picked the Lions, and you, my friend, thumbs down. That was incorrect. You got a big red mark on the old spreadsheet here. Kyle, you also picked the Lions. Incorrect, but we appreciate your sacrifice because of you guys, the Packers were able to win. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. A little bit. Okay. So the spread was 3.5 the Saints, you say? All
Saints
right.
are 3.5-point favorites.
Chris, what do you think?
I'm going to take the Saints. And you know what? 3.5. Oh, I'm going to take the Saints.
Okay. James, what do you think?
That was very Yosemite Sam like right there.
I don't want to do it.
Ooh, I hate that wabbit. I'm not breaking tradition. I choose the other team. The Packers win. I'm gonna go Saints.
And I mean, I'm not gonna Packers.
All right, beauty.
It's gonna be a I forget what their logo is called because it's gonna be a pun on La Fleur de Lis.
Fleur de Lis.
Yeah, there you go. I like my pronunciation better. It's
La
more
Fleur de
authentic.
Lis.
All right, let's get out of here. Before we do, we have to sound off. Who's going first this week?
Not me, because
I'll go.
Yeah, go, Kev.
Have you guys ever found like a really comfortable pair of underpants that you have to make sure is in like heavy rotation like once every 3 or 4 days? Like you go out of your way to do the laundry to make sure that they're clean.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Oh, I thought you were telling your wife 3 years away. I was gonna be like, oof.
No.
Rough.
I'm the one who's in charge of throwing away my underpants, and I'm pretty good about it. I don't skimp there.
I'll sound off next. I'm going to sound off about the LA Chargers team doctor who accidentally punctured quarterback Tyrod Taylor's lung just before kickoff on Sunday while trying to administer a pain-killing injection to the quarterback who had cracked ribs. So as much as you hate the Packers medical staff, I'm pretty sure none of them has ever punctured Aaron Rodgers' lung. James.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
What's even crazier, James, before you start is they figured that out because he started drinking Gatorade and it just started squirting out. And they're like, oh, no.
I don't think that any of that works, Kev.
I'm pretty sure it is. I've got sources, guys.
Swiss cheese Taylor. So I just want to I hate political signs in yards. I really, really hate them. I hate them a lot.
You hate me.
No, look, I don't hate you as a person. I hate the signs. And I probably wouldn't even hate who the signs are for.
Correct.
But I am now stuck for the next 45 days or however long, every time I open up my front door, staring at a sea of signs for candidates who I despise as human beings. And yes, I know this is a me issue and not a them issue because it's their property, but God bless it, it's annoying. And has anybody ever like been driving down the road and I'm going to vote for the next person I see on a sign? No. How's Andy Rooney like?
That was a beauty. That was a good sound off. That's what the sound off was meant to be. Now, do you want to give everybody a word to tweet at us?
Yeah, let's do frivolous.
Sounds good to me. As an attorney, I appreciate a good frivolous lawsuit. So we're going to wrap it up. We'll be back next week. Tuesdays, you have voted in our Facebook group, are the popular day. So what we should do, guys, is we plan our show for Monday, cancel it, and we'll definitely be on time for Tuesday. All right, everybody, we will see you next week. Go Pack Go. Wash your comfy underwear. And poor Nick Bosa.
Gentle cycle.
The preceding podcast was a production of Productions Institute, LLC. Copyright 2019.
20.
All rights reserved.